Your wife just asked for space. You're freaking out. What do? Part of you says, you go up to her, you say no, you shake her, say no, we're gonna work this out. We love each other and we can do this. But do you come across the risk of pushing her away even more because you're being controlling? And then another party goes online, you search up other things saying, just give her the space all she wants and she'll come back. But then she may think to herself, then he doesn't really care and he's not fighting for me. So what do? Most oftentimes when a wife asks for space, guys feel completely hopeless, wrong, and they do all the incorrect things to only push her further away and guarantee the loss of her in your relationship. Well, in this video, I'm gonna give you exactly what to do when your wife asks for space to make her come back. Not only that, but see that you have changed and give her hope that there's a happier and healthier relationship. Jeremy's wife and him started to become complacent and dull. And over time, he would work more with all the kids, all the stress. Things just became complacent. They got in the marriage rut. His wife got a promotion at work and she started to make more money. And then she was spending nights and even weekends sometimes working. Then all of a sudden, one weekend, she said she was gonna go see her mom and she left him a voicemail, and that voicemail tore him apart. It essentially said, I'm done. I wanna spend about a couple months at my mom's with the kids. I'll be talking to you soon. That next week, he was torn apart. He was an emotional wreck. He didn't know what to do. He left her constant voicemails. He wrote notes. He started to seek help and search for answers because he didn't understand how suddenly his wife can just leave like that. Then there was Ron. Him and his wife got in another tiff, another argument of bickering over something so small about the chores. But for his wife, that was the final straw. He didn't recognize that all this time it was just building up and building up and building up, and that last little fight, it was just a straw to break the camel's back of the relationship. The way Ron responded was in anger. How could you? All the things I've done, all the years of sweat and late hours at the job, how could you ask for space? Why would you do this to me? But underneath all that anger was a hurt little boy, right? A hurt little boy that just didn't understand why his wife was abandoning him. Now, let me tell you 3 things these men must do instead that you must do when your wife asks for space. That is not what these guys do, because if you use those 2 strategies, it's guaranteed that she'll never come back. The first thing you must do when your wife or girlfriend asks for space is to cultivate curiosity. Isaac Asimov said, your assumptions are your windows on the world. Scrub them off every once in a while, or the light won't come in. When something traumatic or threatening happens to us, it's easy for our brain to make assumptions and negative meanings to protect ourselves. However, instead, if you cultivate curiosity and genuinely ask why she's asking for space and truly listen to her and remove all assumptions, you can see the true reason behind what she's doing and her true needs that you can work on to meet. However, if you think to yourself and tell yourself the story, she doesn't love me anymore, she's seen someone else, the way you respond to that with those assumptions is only going to guarantee that it's not going to work out. The second thing you must do when your wife asks for space is to use radical acceptance. Byron Katie says, I am a lover of what is, not because I'm a spiritual person, but because it hurts when I argue with reality. Whether you wanted to or not, if you are telling yourself she shouldn't be doing this, and you're shoulding all over yourself with all these stories of should, you're arguing with what actually happened. You must radically understand that this is your place with your wife or girlfriend. If you choose to accept this scenario, the way you respond is high value. You are growth oriented. This means you take steps that are necessary to get her back. However, if you argue with reality, say this shouldn't happen, and why is she doing this, and I don't get it, and you stay confused and hurt and dismayed, and you land in the realm of despair, what's going to happen is that you're going to show up in a way to continue to push her away. That anger, that envy, all those things is really that hurt. However, when you respond in anger and dismay and all these negative low vibrational level emotions, all that tells her is that you are low value, that she made the right decision. And let me tell you the last one called the inquiry process through a story of the Chinese farmer. There was once a Chinese farmer, and this guy was pretty much Zen, right? One day, the villagers came to him and they said, oh my God, your horse ran away. What are you gonna do? And back then a horse was equal to more than a car, your house. It was that expensive. The villagers were telling him, this is awful. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to you. The Chinese farmer simply said, maybe. Then a couple of weeks later, the horse came back with 3 other horses. All the villagers ran up and told him, they said, look at all the horses you have. You have 4 horses now. This is amazing. The Chinese farmer simply looked at the villagers and said, maybe. A couple of weeks later, the Chinese farmer's son was trying to tame one of the horses, one of the new ones, and he fell off and broke his leg. Again, all the villagers rushed to the Chinese farmer and they said, "Oh my gosh, your son just broke his leg. This is awful." The Chinese farmer simply said, "Maybe." And then a couple of weeks later, the conscripts for the army came along looking for young men to join the war. And his son's leg was broken, so he couldn't join. So of course, all the villagers told the Chinese farmer, "This is awesome, your son is going to be safe." And again, the Chinese farmer said, "Yeah, actually you're right, my son doesn't..." I'm just kidding. The Chinese farmer said maybe. Now look, the point of this story is you need to adopt a personality trait of being like the Chinese farmer, being Zen, to not label her wanting space as a bad thing. Because if you do, number one, you will fall apart and it will reconfirm in her mind that you're not the right man to be with her. And then number two, this is potentially an opportunity. You need to see the good side of this. Don't label this space as bad or that she's going to leave you and terrify yourself. Instead, take the opportunity to look at yourself and say, why did she choose to leave me and how am I going to grow from this? If you want help looking at your marriage situation and what exact behaviors at the core level cause her to want space and pull away, right now click the link down below. You can set up a free call with one of our marriage evaluators. We'll assess your marriage or relationship and tell you exactly what you need to do to get her back. Thanks for watching the video.